He was collecting a small arsenal, almost as if he was going to war.
He never showed me any type of violent behavior. He never acted aggressive toward me. I wish I could say I understand why he would do something like this, or that he, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
The only other place Ryan seemed to enjoy going was the Broome County Public Library. Located on Court Street in Binghamton, the library offered the use of their computers for free, which is something Ryan took advantage of. He would go at night when it was slower and sat away from any people, doing searches on ammunition and various guns and accessories. With a particular fascination in high-capacity magazines, Ryan frequently asked the gun store employees about them, trying to obtain some for himself. Employees always informed Ryan that what he was asking about was illegal, but it didn't stop him from coming back and making purchases and asking the same questions. When a customer continues to come back over and over, purchasing a large amount of firearms, ammo, accessories, and asking for illegal magazines, red flags should be raised. We aren't here to argue gun control, or take a stand for or against, but this seems like a small compromise. The right time, when the, quote, see something, say something, may just help. It may save lives. At one time, Ryan had a gym membership. Even went a few times, but he only used one machine that was intended to strengthen one's hands. As a child, Ryan was pretty quiet and didn't talk much, but he did like to run around like most little boys, and he liked to roller skate and play soccer. In an old deviation for most of the shooters we cover, Ryan was actually not a picky eater. He would eat anything and everything. Much of the information that is known about Ryan comes from his younger years, as he became pretty isolated from his family as he got older. His sister lived in the same area as Ryan in New York, yet she didn't know of him having any friends or going anywhere. Growing up, Ryan's dad worked for War Relief, which is an organization that aided families coming to the United States as immigrants and refugees. Ryan's dad just wanted to bring his family to the USA so they could have a better life. He envisioned a brighter future for his family, and never in a million years could have imagined what would come of his family. The War Relief program is no longer in existence.
They were quiet, it's whole streets all quiet. Hey, how you doing when we were outside doing the yard work or shoveling snow or whatever?
In November of 2008, Ryan was laid off from the shop vac factory. No details were provided, just that he was laid off. His parents tried to help him as best they could, but they often got frustrated with their son. They gave him a roof over his head and other help, but in return, he left his room an utter mess with clothing and shoes strewn about. He had a fishbowl filled to the brim with fish. The bedroom was covered in various posters and calendars of animals in all sizes, which were hung all over the bedroom walls. That was Ryan's other obsession, animals. Animal Planet was all he watched, until he happened to see a different show about animals. After being laid off, Ryan didn't really tell his family the depths of his paranoia about the police, except for the first time that resulted in a hospital visit. Yet, he often made little comments that the law was listening to his calls or following him. He felt they were out to get him. He bragged to a gym member about keeping a pistol in his glove box, and he was even at the gym the day before the shooting, telling the owner that he was there so frequently because he wasn't able to land another job. It seems that there were red flags everywhere. Yet to so many people, Ryan just seemed like a regular guy. Certainly not the kind of guy who could commit mass murder of 13 completely innocent, unsuspecting people. Ryan was cremated, and the ashes probably were given to his parents, who issued a heartfelt statement after the horrific murders, apologizing for their son's actions. While it certainly isn't their fault, the sentiment is a kind one. On April 8, 2009, then New York Governor David Paterson had all flags in the state flown at half-staff, in honor and remembrance of the victims and survivors of this horrific massacre. If there is one small silver lining to the pain and heartache the victims of this tragedy suffered, it is that after an extensive review of all autopsy reports, it was reported that all victims were killed instantly and didn't have to suffer any pain. However, their families will suffer every day. They still suffer. They're without their loved ones.
Well, I'm very upset. Why would the American Civic Association be targeted? These people do anything but good for this community, and it's upsetting that they would attack something that would be as good for this community.
It's very easy to become lax in remembering the pain and suffering that the mass shooting and other events of the like cause, but we must remain vigilant and continue to tell the stories that shed light on what went wrong and what can be done better. Please remember, if you see something, say something. You never know whose or how many lives you could be saving. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Active Shooter, the podcast. Remember, if you see something, say something. There's no telling how many lives you may be saving. A huge thank you to Darren Curtis, who composed some of the music used in this episode. Check him out at darrencurtismusic.com. DARRENCURTIS music.com.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter, active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Make sure to check us out on social media. We have a discussion group on Facebook. Just search for Active Shooter, the podcast discussion group. You can also find us on Instagram at Active the Podcast and Twitter at Podcast Active. For just $1 a month, you can get access to ad-free episodes, early release episodes when available, and a shout-out on the show. Just go to patreon.com/Active the Podcast. Thank you, and be safe.
A fascination with the unknown has led me to research countless unsolved murders and missing persons cases. These victims are often forgotten in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Nevertheless, they need their cases recognized in order to keep investigators working on it. These victims also deserve justice and peace in the afterlife. Here I will share them all with you, giving both the facts and the theories every Wednesday at 3:30 a.m. Check out The Great Unsolved for more information.